Hello, scholars. All of you are welcome by the Pearl Education. Today, I am going to discuss about a few of the questions asked in afternoon shift as well as the morning shift. First of all, in this video, I am going to discuss about few questions that I've received from the various scholars from the afternoon shift. Although the questions were very lengthy and it was very difficult for the scholars to remember all the questions, still I have received few questions based on memory. So some mistakes might be there because the questions are based on memory. Both the shifts were excellent. The paper one was easy. Paper two was also easy, but it was a bit lengthy. It was asked in a cross-sectional manner. NT has very well maintained the balance between both the shifts. The questions were equally distributed. Equal emphasis was given on each and every chapter in both the shifts. The questions were identical and equivalent to each other. So you cannot say that my shift was different or my shift was difficult. Or both the shifts, the question was similar. It was lengthy. It was cross-sectional, but comparatively easy than the last year. But because of lengthy paper, there was a problem of time management. So I'm going to discuss few of the questions that was sent by some of the scholars. But before that, I have also received feedback from the scholars regarding analysis of paper. They said that around 42 questions were asked from the British literature in both the shifts, paper shift 1 and shift 2. And 26 questions were there from literary criticism and cultural studies. So these two were the major contributory factors of both the shifts. Then non-British literature have 5 questions, and evolution of English in India and Indian literature were having 5 questions. There were 10 passages in both the shifts, and around 6 questions were there from the research methodology, and 6 miscellaneous questions in which they have asked about the various terms. So this was the overall data, overall the analysis of the entire paper. Some questions might be up and down. Instead of 42 British literature, maybe 40 or 43. So this was just based on the feedback that I have received from the various scholars, and the best news for all of you that 70 to 80% questions were asked from this particular book. So I feel proud by introducing and launching this book into the field of English literature, which covered around 70 to 80% of the questions that was asked yesterday. So whoever has studied this book twice or thrice, he must have performed well. You can buy this book from Amazon or Flipkart or any other online resources. You just need to type the name of the book and you'll be able to get this. Now the price has also gone down. You can also join me for the online classes. You just need to log in this website and you can enroll yourself with me. Coming to the questions of the second shift from paper 1, there was one question. Uncle Pambalchuk was a character from. This was a direct question from Charles Dickens' The Great Expectation. Uncle Pambalchuk is the uncle of joy. And second question was which among the following is removed in the MLA 8th edition. So if you compare the 7th edition and the 8th edition, then you will find that the place of publication has been removed in the 8th edition. The third question was find the correct way of referencing according to MLA 8th edition. This was one option which was right, in which it starts with the name in reverse order, then article's title in double inverted comma, then journal's name in it was underlined in the exam, but actually it is italics, and then in which volume it appears. So volume 128 number 1 appeared in Jan 2013. Particular page 193 to 200. So this was the right, and I think this was the second one that some of the scholars said. So in each question they have asked 2 options. Then the next one, null hypothesis. If t-test is appropriate, as all of you know that in the null hypothesis there are 2 types of test, t-test and f-test. So if t-test is appropriate, you need to accept the hypothesis and accept the research. So these were the 2 options might be. Who among the following defended Plato's theory of poetry? So Plato's theory was defended first by Sir Philip Sidney and then later by P.B. Shelley. The next question was which two plays appear in tradition and individual talent? While T.S. Eliot was talking about the traditional writers, he talked about Agamemnon and Othello. And there was some works which were chronological order were asked. So first was Volpone in 1606, then All for Love 1677, then Past and Present 1843, and until this last 1860. And there was one question in passage Lysander was in love with Hermia, and there was another question from the same passage who refused to marry Demetrius. There was some line over there. So this line was uttered by Aegeus. Next question was what is the New York trilogy by Paul Auster? Paul Auster is an American author, so he wrote a New York trilogy, which consists of City of Glass, Ghosts, and The Locked Room. And there was one question from the Seymour Bach poems. The right answers were Punishment and the Tolun Ban. The next was a matching in which the poems of metaphysical poets were asked. Retreat. The Retreat was by Henry Vaughan. The Garden by Andrew Marvell. The Collar by George Herbert. And The Valediction of Whipping was by John Donne. He has also written The Valediction Forbidding Mourning and The Valediction of Whipping. The next question was what do you mean by deconstruction? So everything is there inside the text only. There was a quotation by Jacques Derrida that nothing outside, there is nothing outside the text. That means everything is there inside the text only. And whenever you are going to interpret the meaning of the text, then there are limitless meaning of a text. The next one was what do you mean by writerly text by Roland Barthes? All of you know that Roland Barthes has talked about a readerly text and a writerly text in his work S/Z, in which he talked about writerly text as it makes the reader a producer. It's not the readerly text makes a reader as a consumer, but writerly text makes a reader as producer of the text, which draws attention to its artifice, to the ways in which it is structured. And the second option was writerly text and ways of reading constitute in short and active rather than culture and its text. It also destabilizes the reader's expectation. There was one question about interpretive communities. It's a book by Stanley Fish. The next question was encoding decoding by Stuart Hall. So they have asked about the sequence of encoding and decoding. So one was production, circulation, consumption, and reproduction. This was the right answer for this question. The next question was a matching, where they have to match with the various terms, like interpellation was coined by Louis Althusser, heteroglossia by Mikhail Bakhtin, metonymy metaphor by Roman Jakobson. There was one question, a Spencer letter to Walter Raleigh in Fairy Queen. They have asked that in which edition Spencer wrote a letter, whether it was prefixed or it was annotated. Means whether it was attached at the front or at the end of the Fairy Queen. So it appears in the preface of 1590 edition. It was prefixed in the 1590 edition. Two works appeared in 1859. There was one question. So one was Charles Darwin's Origin of a Species, and the other was Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. There was one question that in Act 2 of Waiting for Godot, what Lucky carries in his suitcase while he was dragging Pozo with him? And the right answer was sand. This was a very direct question. Then they have asked about the Way of the World. Proviso scene appears in which act of the Way of the World? So it appears in Act 4, where Mirabel and Melamed are talking about their upcoming marriage. The next question is about the blind prophet Dionysius. He appears in which ancient works? So he first appears in Oedipus Rex and then in Antigone. The next question was Jane Eyre studied in which school? So she studied in Lowood School. The next question was who organized the birthday party in Harold Pinter's play The Birthday Party? This was Meg. And the next question was Dolly is a character. It was a matching of the characters. So I have received only one character. Dolly was from Parnby Raj. There is another matching question about one is the study of poetry, which is by Matthew Arnold. Actually, the questions were too much lengthy for us. We're not able to recollect all the options together. So whatever the options I have got, I am bringing to you. And there was a chronological order of the biographies. One was The Life of Johnson by James Boswell. The next question was about identification of irony and metaphor. Actually, they wanted to know the meaning of implicit and explicit. What I felt. Implicit means everything is clearly expressed and mentioned, and explicit means it can have various meanings. So, metaphor is explicit and irony is implicit. Then there was a Dark Lady of the Sonnets, which is by Charles Bernard Shaw. It's about the Dark Lady of Shakespeare, the sonnets from Shakespeare. As you know that uh, some of the sonnets of Shakespeare's were also dedicated to Dark Lady. Then there was a matching question in which there was a of Grammatology by Jacques Derrida and a course in General Linguistics by Ferdinand de Saussure. The next question was who inspired Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe to use black magic. So he was inspired by his two best friends, Valdez and Cornelius. Then the next question in Paradise Lost, Milton followed the pattern of which poet? Actually, this Paradise Lost, when it was written in 1667, then it was in 10 books, but later on he received various feedback from the readers that it should be written in the form of Virgil's Aeneid. So later on he divided the book number 7 and book number 10 into two each books, and altogether he made 12 books. So it was based on Virgil Aeneid, which was also written in 12 books. Then they have asked about which one of the following. The two works by John Osborne. One was by Look Back in Anger, and the other was Deja Vu. Then the next asked about the Pidgin and Creole. I've well expressed in my class that Pidgin is the first language and which gradually develops and takes the form of Creole. So this was the right answer. And they have asked about the chronological order of the periodicals. The Spectator was in 1711, London Magazine in 1732, Edinburgh in 1802, and Blackwood Magazine in 1817. So there's many 35 questions that I have received from various scholars. I give a heartfelt thank to all the scholars who have recollected these questions and sent me for analysis. So it will be very beneficial for each one of you. Those who have not appeared the exam also, they can have view an idea of what type of paper was asked. So that's all from the fall education. Thank you so much. Very soon I'll upload the analysis of the first shift of English paper as well. Thank you so much.